we had good years and we enjoyed them, and the wages were good, and we didn't live real high on the hog, but as I went along, I got to making more money and more money, and as I got up into my 30s and 40s until so that would have put it. I'd have to say the best years for me would have been between 1952 and 1950. Well, let's say 1975 seemed to be when things really started to go on the way they are now. That's where money was, inflation had caught up to the money supply, the wages, to where wages were no longer by what they did back in the 50s, 60s, and early 70s. So therefore, you was not as well off. So the best years were between 1950 and 1970, and then from there on it started tapering, and then by the worst that's happened to any of us has been since Reagan took over in 1981 January. And nobody knew that, but he was bound, determined to maybe create jobs, but the jobs are not don't produce enough for anybody to encourage them to get married and settle down and have a home life, because they will not support even one person.
Our gross income in 1987, with Pat working and me working, is about $21,000, and we both would like at least one, but we're not willing, not at this time, to give up the time between ourselves and, well, it means more to us to have free time than it would to have a child. So we decided that the fact that we like the, well, footloose lifestyle, but the fact we can do what we want to do, we're not tied down with a kid, we do like that. So I guess we've kind of overridden plans, at least as of now, for kids.
Well, there's other factors I know you considered. The fact is that today they figure that it costs at least $100,000 to $125,000 from the time a child's born, providing the child's born without any medical complications, until the day he graduates. And if you send him on to higher education, then of course you're talking more money. So therefore, what are you talking? You're talking the job situation for the majority of graduates today, unless they go on to a higher school of learning to get some kind of specialty, they're walking all over the streets out here with no jobs, no prospects of a job. And the culprit and the reason is the way that our government has handled our industrial base. Everything is went overseas because they can get it produced for $1.50 an hour over there, where it would cost them the average wage in the industry today is supposed to be $11. That's what the average.
Telephone.
Well, you know, usually this country has grown from the beginning and always gotten better. And some people say, well, we're still growing and going to get better because we're in a computerized age. Well, here, to make this discussion, you're trying to determine what phase we're in now. Are we in an upswing where prosperity is going to be, everybody shares the prosperity, or are we talking about the prosperity of a few top dogs top in the manufacturing?
Well, I haven't seen a hell of a lot trickle down in 7 years.
And this promise that Reagan gave us in 81 has not materialized. It has only produced one thing, and he said he wouldn't produce more jobs, but he ran up the biggest deficit in the history of any president in the United States.
All the jobs, what was it? I don't remember which Democrat mentioned it, but these jobs, yeah, he can claim he's created some jobs, but none of them are worth a pinch of shit because they're all minimum, well, at least 60% are minimum wage.
At least, if not more.
And you can't be gainfully employed on $3.25 an hour.
Well, $3.35.
$3.35.
But the thing of it is that inflation has increased 30% since 1981, and the cost of living, the minimum wage has not increased since 1981 when he abolished the annual built-in increases that are supposed to be there. So what has happened, we have got a society of young people coming up that are ready and willing to go to work and want to buy the good things in life, but can't find a job that will support it with a high school education. In other words, that will be able to give them the job opportunity they need to support what they would like to do, their lifestyle, or what they'd like to live. So we got a bunch of people living on a minimum wage, barely afford to eat, and drive an old junker or wrecked with an automobile. It's nothing but a piece of junk. While all of our major industrialists have sent all of our steel manufacturing, all of our textiles, all of our electronics industry, a lot of our, well, you just name it. I mean, you don't have to. Shoe industry went down to everything has went to overseas because our industrialists have taken the money they made in this country, took it overseas, reinvested it, made plants, got cheap labor.
Did you hear what happened in California?
And brought it back here and making 3 times the money they make if they made in this country, which puts our people out of work. And I don't know what happened in California, which you're referring
to. On CNN 2 days ago, most of the garment industry now that is American made is centered in California. Since this new naturalization bill went into effect, a lot of the people that were working there have gotten scared that they'd get nailed for being illegal, so they've left. Well, the employer increased from $3.25 to $3.50 to $4 to $4.25 an hour, and the Americans are not taking up on it. I don't know why, but so this guy is asked to be able to bring in aliens to do the job, and he's stating, well, I can't get Americans to take this job. Let me bring aliens in. No, I don't know how that's going to turn out. But, well, you want to go down east?
Yeah, we'll have, they said we cut a couple more minutes of it. Put it in a nutshell, that we've seen the best times. They've already passed us. For the guy that can go out and get into a field that he can make at least $50,000 to $60,000 a year, he will be able to live a middle income class style life for the short term. If inflation keeps on at the present rate, in another 5 to 6, 7 years, $80,000 might be considered as a middle income. But you realize that what has happened, this spread, we used to have the very poor, and then we used to have the lower middle income class, then we had the middle income class, and then the upper middle income class, then we had the very rich. Now, since Reagan's been in, we have got the the very poor, which the taxpayers pay for them because they have welfare and food stamps. Then you have the working poor, which are working and making what they call the poverty level wage, which means that they don't get any free cheese or food stamps, but they don't have enough money to just barely pay the bare necessities, can't even afford health insurance. And they don't get enough hours unless both man and wife both work. Then if you have children, the children suffer because they don't have the parental upbringing that we have. We always had one parent at home, at least. So we have slipped over from one parent at home, one parent going out working, and now we're down to where both people, if they want to make a marriage, have both of them work and want to make it go. And the people that are already married, that was used to a one-income deal, are in that same problem. The woman finally had to go to work, but in that case, most of them, their children was pretty well raised. But the new person that's just getting married, what are they going to do with their little toddlers while they go to work? Well, they have to put them out in daycare centers, and by the time you find somebody to watch your baby for a whole day, and you drive 15 miles and maintain an automobile and eat one meal out, and you figure out how much money you're making, and when you're only getting maybe $4 an hour max, most of them. Some of them might be getting $5, but if you're making minimum wage, you're only getting $3.35. And then you can't get full time, so maybe you're only working 5 hours. So there's no way you can go from here to Newark.
I can't hardly make it on $5.80 an hour.
So the good times look like are only for the ones that have taken their money overseas, exploited the foreign labor, and then bring it back in duty-free into the country and sell it for the almost the same price as American labor produces it for. I mean, they just sell it just for enough below in order to undersell it and keep American labor market off balance. And none of our legislators, including all congressmen and senators and everybody in Washington, the legislative branch, including the president, haven't done anything at all to correct the situation. It's been going on for the last, it's been real bad for 10 years, and it's been going on for 20. So it looks to me like we're being sabotaged by our own government, not protecting our own people's jobs. That's what it
seems
looks
to
like.
me this inevitable downturn cycle was started because Lyndon Johnson didn't want to pay for his war. He had printed up too damn much currency to pay for his war, and all this leftover currency from the early 70s on caused all that terrible inflation back then. So I can't totally blame the problem on, say, Carter, although I still feel that he wasn't effective as a leader. He may have inherited the problem, but when he was elected, he told us he was going to try to solve it, and so did Reagan. Yeah, he said by '84 we were supposed to have a balanced budget. He's never submitted a balanced budget.
The word today is that President Reagan has amassed a debt equal to all the presidents that ever sat in the White House, all in 8 years. And he promised to balance the budget. And everybody believed him, and everybody got suckered. Now all we can do is wait him out and see what comes next. If the next president don't have a good common sense to put us on the back on the right track, why, kiss this way alive goodbye, because it'll never be revived. We'll never see a good times again for the masses of the people. It'll just be the very rich and the working poor and the poor that are not able to work.
I gotta
And
get. I took.
that's a tough story, but that's the way it is.
I took 2 Tylenol 4 hours ago. Tylenol ain't touching us. Yeah, I couldn't find. Let's see, 500 milligrams a piece. So you had some aspirin in there. Well,
Yeah, I've got the big ones in there.
aspirin.
Those Ecotrin.
Oh, okay. I need.
That